Without further ado, Catherine, you're up.
Great. So let's get started by taking a look at what's going on in the shade industry. So just some fun statistics that came out recently in the C Pro deep dive just a month ago. Average resi shading project size versus last year. So you can think to yourself what these numbers look like at your organization. Across the industry, we're looking at 30% growth in shading projects over last year. Now, the dollar value of most shade projects, on average, $20,000 to $40,000. Okay. Now, how about what percentage of integrators are collaborating with designers on their shades projects? So nationally, that looks like 38%. And what percentage of projects have motorized drapery? That's about a quarter of projects right now. So what do we see as the opportunity for you? Many of our qualified dealers do 45% of their Lutron business in shades. So if you're not at 45% in your organization, we can pretty confidently say there's room for you to expand your revenue. Now, we just looked at some survey results industry-wide, 25% of jobs have motorized drapery. At Lutron, our soft treatment growth this year is 40%, over 40%. So this number is getting bigger and bigger. And working with the design community is a fantastic way to grow your business. About half of luxury residential specifiers, so interior designers, architects, they expect to use more motorized shades next year and the year after. They are looking to expand their shade projects. So why is Lutron the right partner for you? A couple benefits here. First, we offer shading solutions for nearly any window and any kind of home. With intelligent hem bar alignment, you know those shades are going to be moving in unison every time, right? Each shade is actually tested to make sure it's whisper quiet before we send it to you. They're smart. You guys know what you can do with our shades, like natural light optimization. They integrate beautifully. Tie them into your lighting control, your security, your temperature, all the parts and pieces that come together to make these premium residences. Our handcrafted finishes bring beauty to the shade brackets, to the hem bars, and also to the coordinating controls. And of course, we're ultra focused on quality. Right? We really try to make sure that the products we send to you work every time. We really like people to have the perception that Lutron just works. But we work really hard to make sure it works by the time it gets to you. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to start. Eva's going to tell us all about what's new with fabrics, and there's a lot, guys, and I know you know. We're going to talk a little bit about our new program, Native by Design. We'll look at the shade visualizer, which we launched into our app right after CEDIA this year. We'll give you an update on what's going on with rollers and drapery, and then a little bit about tools and resources. And then as Shung mentioned, at the end, if we have time, we'll do that Q&A. If not, we'll find a way to get those answers to you. All right, so Eva, go ahead and take over.
Thanks, Catherine. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So my name is Eva Kimmerly, and I am the product manager for all of our fabrics here at Lutron. I'm going to spend the next, I don't know, it'll probably take us about 40 minutes to get through the fabric portion of this. Pretty big section, so I appreciate you all hanging in with me. But I wanted to start out with just a quick overview of Lutron's fabric portfolio to help everyone ground into what's actually in our offering. So we have 715 roller shade fabrics. We just launched some more over the weekend, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. 115 honeycomb shade fabrics, 15 horizontal sheer blind materials, and 18 wood blind finishes for a grand total of 863 total materials that can go onto a Lutron shade. You might think that might be more than what you thought. It might be less than what you thought. But for some reason, that number is never exactly what anyone thinks, which I always find to be really interesting. All of those materials are organized into collections, and then each of those collections has a physical binder by fabric type and the need that those materials fill. All of those fabrics are sourced from 13 strategic fabric suppliers. So Lutron, we don't make any of our own materials. We rely on these strategic fabric suppliers to find the materials that we need to fill out our portfolio. And later on in the presentation, we'll talk a little bit more about what it actually takes for a fabric to become a part of Lutron's fabric offering. Now, Catherine did mention earlier about the massive growth that we're seeing in the soft treatment and drapery space, but it's really interesting to note that Lutron actually doesn't provide any soft fabrics for draperies or for Roman shades, and that's intentionally. So many years ago, we did offer a special collection for those platforms, and what we found was really 99.8% of people were looking to use their own material. When it comes to those soft treatments, there are so many different options out there, and people really tend to want to align those soft treatments with a specific design feature of the space. And so there's no way for us to ever have all of those materials available. So we decided to really focus in on the technology with the drapery tracks and the Roman shade kits, and allow for those natural workroom relationships to be what supports the fabric side of things there. Now, on the next slide, we'll take a look at the fabric portfolio specifically for rollers in a little bit of a different view. So this actually lays out all of our roller shade fabric families in their price groups. So one thing that I always like to note here, and you may know this already, is that similar fabrics like E-Screen, Basket Weave 90, Sheer Light, they all fall in the same price group. And the same thing with materials like Basket Weave 27 and T-Screen that are very similar. You'll see later on in the presentation what our top sellers are, what our most popular materials are. And as we're looking at that, just kind of keep in mind, the bulk of our sales really will come from this kind of E-Screen and Basket Weave 90, that space. And then the real middle section where you're seeing some of those more decorative materials like Harbor and Mirage. And then on that far right, you have all of your Atelier materials. I'm getting some positive feedback on this one, so thanks, guys. Now, looking at our next slide, I wanted to just remind everyone of some fabrics that were introduced over the course of the last few years as a way of making sure that everyone knows kind of what's new and why we added these things to the collection, because they were all strategic and really important. So starting with our most recent launch before our launch this weekend, which we'll talk about in a few slides, we have our Tray series, which launched in June. It's a cohesive series of 3 openness factors: sheer, light filtering, and blackout, in the same pattern and colors. Tray actually was a really strategic name. It's Italian for 3, because this is the first time that we've had all 3 of those different openness factors all together with sheer, light filtering, and blackout. In December of 2024, we launched Luna Blackout FR, which for our friends in Massachusetts, it is antimony trioxide free, and it's a commercially fire-rated version of our popular Luna Blackout fabric, offered in the 5 highest running colors. Also in December, we introduced Natural Screen, which is a high-performance screen fabric enhanced with these really pretty polyester slubs for a more natural texture. So high performance, but also giving a little bit more of a design aesthetic for the space. Then if we look all the way back to May of 2024, we introduced our Loop fabric, which is a fabric that's comprised of 100% recycled content. It's a true privacy openness factor, and it is fire rated for any jobs where you have to be concerned about that as well. Another high performance fabric that was launched back in February of 2024 is Omnia Screen Silver, which is an aluminum backed fabric. So this was bringing back a metallized fabric into our offering for those that are concerned about that high solar reflectance. We also introduced Element and Element Facade back in May of 2023 and November of 2022 to give you a beautiful PVC-free, commercially fire-rated plain blackout fabric and some options with different backing colors. So Element has that white backing and Element Facade has a charcoal backing. So no matter what the need of the project, you'll be able to find a backing color solution that fits the aesthetic. Along those same lines, we also introduced Verso back in November of 2022, which is a decorative blackout that has complementary color backing. So a better solution for exposed roller options like palladium, or if someone has an aesthetic preference for the exterior of their space. And it can't always be new launches and joy in the fabric space, as we all unfortunately know. So I did also want to talk a little bit about things that were discontinued over the course of the last few years, just to give everyone a little bit of context there. So again, we here at Lutron don't make any of our own fabrics. So we're really working very closely with those strategic suppliers to make sure that we're staying as on top of the changes to their offering as we possibly can. So just to get this out of the way right ahead of time, Value Premier, we all know that that one was discontinued. Some of the colors went away in December of 2024 when we removed low running SKUs to allow us to really appropriately address ongoing supply chain challenges. And then the rest of those colors were discontinued in May of 2025. And essentially this occurred because the mill closed. And so Lutron, as well as all other shade manufacturers, were no longer able to source those fabrics because of that mill closure. There's a few other items on here where you'll see that a mill closure was also responsible. Verona and Verona Blackout discontinued back in June of 2024. Avila Residential discontinued back in January of 2024. Those were just mill closures, and unfortunately in those cases we don't have any control over the closure of those mills. Now, you'll see a few other reasons for discontinuations on here. Stratus and Stratus Blackout and Blazer. We just had a significant color shift in the material that we were receiving, and it wouldn't have matched any of our sampling. So unfortunately, we did have to go ahead and discontinue that. And then just some other interesting ones here. T-Screen Classic was replaced with a new version of T-Screen, which is that dual-sided twill fabric. And then Basket Weave 90 Silver being discontinued for supplier production challenges. Just to give a little context there. So earlier in the presentation, I did mention the different fabric binders that we have that all of our fabrics are separated into. And these are the key books that you're going to want to make sure that you have in your library. Classico, Gallery, Atelier, and then Architectural Honeycomb for those of you who do sell that honeycomb product. Roller shades are like massive part of our business. And so honeycombs are still there. And I do want to make sure that I reminded you about that book. Now, one of the questions we get the most about our fabric binders is how do we keep our binders up to date? I really wanted to make sure that we covered binder view while we're all here together today. So what you're seeing on the screen is just a screenshot of that binder view document. This is a document that lives on lutronfabrics.com, and there's a document for every fabric binder. Each one includes a complete ordered list of the contents, and it's updated anytime a fabric is launched or discontinued. If you were to go to that website right now, you would actually see the new version that includes all the materials that were launched over the weekend. On that list, you also have all of the sample part numbers for quick reference and easy ordering, as well as the divider card part numbers for new families. So all of those divider cards can be ordered either through customer service or in My Projects. And now you'll be able to see what all of the appropriate part numbers are for those as well. We saw our fabric graveyard on the last slide, and binder view includes a fabric graveyard as well. So if you don't feel like going through your entire binder, you can just flip right to that and see the things that were recently discontinued. You can always find binder view in the resources tab of lutronfabrics.com. Just make sure that you're logged in to be able to see that feature. Sometimes if you're not logged in and it's not there, it's easy to think that it's just missing. So just make sure that you're logged in to be able to see that feature. Now, talking about fabric binders, Best practice is to update those books. If you have an old tan gallery or Classico binder, you have the easiest way to update of all, which is to just throw it out and get a new one. So you want to make sure that you have the current versions of both of those books, which are the dark gray versions. When you're ready to update your book, download that binder view PDF from lutronfabrics.com under the resources tab, and then go through that binder and mark anything on the PDF that needs to be ordered and place orders for those missing items. Now, sometimes it's easiest, this all depends on you and how much of a mess your binder is. Some people like to take everything out and work backwards. So you're kind of creating your stacks as you go so that you make sure everything's in order that way. Some people prefer to go through in like true numerical order. So I'll leave that up to you, but it kind of is dealer's choice as long as you're following that binder view document to make sure that everything's there. All of those individual samples can be ordered on lutronfabrics.com or in My Projects, and the divider cards can be ordered in My Projects or again through customer service. They'll be able to help with that too. And then just a quick reminder on the bottom here, use those binder updates as an opportunity to follow up with your specifiers. Every time new fabrics get launched, it's a really great touch point to be able to follow up with those folks that you've left binders with so that you can make sure that they're updating their books and that they have the most recent fabric offering. Right. Speaking of the most recent fabric offering, I just want to take a couple slides here to talk about the fabrics that we launched over the weekend because they are some pretty exciting ones. The first one is eScreen 0.5%. Now, this is a fabric that was recently launched by the supplier of eScreen, and we got a ton of feedback that we absolutely had to have it in our offering, and so here it is. It's exactly like the popular eScreen fabric that you know and love, just in a new opacity. So all of the fabric details are the same as the rest of the eScreen family. All of the colors are the same, 120-inch usable roll width, it's railroadable, it's seamable, it's Green Guard certified. This is just a really great openness factor for spaces that require that high performance screen. Maybe you need something that's also antimicrobial, but provides more privacy. The divider, we have a new divider card for this. It's eScreen-card. Pretty easy to remember. And if you will just remember, 3% is the only openness that we show in the binder. So you don't necessarily need to order more samples to update your book. You can just add that new card and then keep those 0.5% samples on hand for future reference. Now, one important thing to note, some of the samples are available at launch and some of them will be available a little bit later. So when you're on lutronfabrics.com ordering those samples, you'll be able to see what is and is not available just yet. And if you have a customer who needs to make a decision, they can use the colorways of, say, eScreen 1% to make a decision on color, and then you can review the openness factor, the 0.5%, at a later time. So then the next new fabric that we have is called Blackout Screen. I know that sounds like a little bit of an oxymoron, but hang with me. We'll talk a little bit about what that means. This is actually a high performance blackout fabric where it's a screen fabric that was woven super, super tight and then heat set to create a blackout. And now the other great thing about that process is that it allows the fabric to have a perfectly matched texture on the front and the back of the material. So you'll have that screen aesthetic on both sides. Really great, again, for those exposed roller solutions or where you need a color matched or a dark backing. The colors in this offering align with popular screens like Sheerlight, Basket Weave 90, and eScreen. So if you have someone who wants to match those materials on a job, you have the ability to do that as well. Again, really high performance, fire rated, 116-inch usable roll width, and railroadable and seamable to cover large windows. You don't have to memorize or write down your divider card part numbers here. Again, we're going to send out all of this information and all of that's available in Binder View. Now, last but not least, Encore Blackout is a really exciting one. So we talked a little bit about how Value Premier unfortunately had to be discontinued. Encore Blackout is your official replacement for Value Premier. So this is going to be Pfeiffer's Sheerweave 7001. So for those of you who are familiar with the supplier names, This is that material. One thing to keep in mind, aesthetically, the texture of the material is slightly different than Value Premier, and the colors are slightly different as well. So if you have shades that are directly next to one another, please make sure that you're comparing those samples before you go ahead and replace a shade or add another shade. But if you have a customer who loved Value Premier in sand and they have another room that they want to do in that same fabric, Encore Blackout in sand is the perfect option. So again, commercially fire rated, premium fabric base cloth, just like Value Premier, has that flocked backing, so you have that high-end feel and that silent performance, and it has all of the configurations and specifications that you knew and loved with Value Premier. So we're really excited to be able to bring this material into the world. It was great to see our fabrics engineering team push really hard to get this out there so that we were discontinuing Value Premier and launching its replacement in the same year. So we're really excited about this one. Now, you've seen what's new. Let's talk a little bit about what's popular. So on this first slide, this is going to be comparing your top 10 roller fabric families for our total shades business. And then you'll also see top 10 roller fabric families for just the RIS and RWSP channel. Now, if we were all in a room together, I would ask, well, what's something that you notice when you compare these lists to one another? And the big takeaway is that they're really similar, right? And so I always like to point that out because to me, it really shows how much that RIS and RWSP channel drives what's most popular across our full shades business. And you'll see popular friends on here like your Basket Weave 90, E-Screen, Basket Weave 27, Luna Blackout. And then also on the RIS, RWSP side, you have some of those more premium materials sneaking in there at the bottom of the top 10 with Premier and Boucle. Now, on the next slide, we'll drill down a little bit more and look at this by most popular fabric SKUs. So individual fabrics. You have roller shade fabrics, all shades again, and then roller shade fabrics, just RIS and RWSP. So in all shades, decorative materials like Harbor and Pearl are the #1 spot. But on the RIS RWSP side, it leads with materials like E-Screen and Basket Weave 90. I don't think that anyone on this call should be too surprised about the materials that you're seeing on these lists. And again, we'll be sharing all of the information that you need, so you'll have this at your fingertips to help you know where to guide your customers to if you just need a great starting point. To look at this in another way, let's look at more performance fabrics. So solar screens and plain blackouts. A few things to note here. Again, this is a little bit of an eye chart. It's a lot of letters. It's a lot of part numbers, but things to keep in mind. Your openness factors by overall popularity start and they go from 3%, then 1%, then 5%, and 10% is quite a straggler. When you're looking at top colors on the screen side, again, it should surprise no one. It's white or it's charcoal. You start to have a few of those kind of oyster beige colors pop in there, but for the most part, it's different openness factors of white and that charcoal. On the plain blackout side, it's pretty similar. White, off-white, and if you have a color other than that, it's black, specifically with a color matched backing. So in that case, the color matched backing is a little bit more important than the face fabric. And so pretty easy to see here that those opposite ends of the neutral color spectrum are really where that business is falling. Now, of course, we sell more than just plain blackouts and solar screens. We have decorative materials as well. So on this slide, you have a direct comparison of what's most popular in gallery, which is your more mid-range price point, and what's most popular in atelier, which is your premium price point. On the gallery side, all of those really soft, beautiful, neutral fabrics, Harbor, Stratus, Mirage, and of course, they're all going to be in white, off-white, and I think Heather sneaks in there, which is a light gray. So again, really keeping to that neutral space. On the atelier side, I probably shouldn't say this, but you could basically take boucle and tela out of your books and throw the rest away, because as you can see, that's really where the popularity lies. It's boucle, it's tela, and it's whites and off-whites. Again, nothing super surprising here, but really good to see how all of that shakes out. So what does it take for a fabric to become part of Lutron's fabric portfolio? Well, it's about a 9-month process at a minimum. So I always like to just point out that while Lutron will never have every single fabric that's available out there in the world, you can always count on the fact that the materials that we do have in our offering have been extensively tested by our dedicated fabrics engineering team to make sure that they meet Lutron's really high quality standards. So on this slide, let's talk through just a few things that that team does to make sure that we're optimizing fabric performance. So we tell our suppliers how to package and ship all of the fabrics to us, and we inspect them when they arrive to make sure that the packaging is the way it needs to be, and also to make sure that the fabric has arrived in the best possible state so that we're really starting from a positive place. When we're beginning to build shades and understand how those fabrics kind of act, we have to figure out what the build recipes are. So how can we cut it? How do we weld it? And we do rely on our suppliers for a lot of that information. But we build a lot of shades too. And when we build those shades, we use what we call corner case configurations, which would be the biggest shade we can make, the widest, the tallest, because that way we know if we can make those shades, we can also make a 3x6 or a 5x8 or an 8x10. Once we know more about how those fabrics perform, we align really closely with our suppliers on the specifications of that fabric, and we have really tight tolerances for what we will and will not accept when we're receiving those materials. So we just make sure that we're in perfect alignment with our suppliers on what our expectations are. When we build those shades, we then cycle those shades for twice the life of what we expect a standard shade to have, because we want to be able to predict what's going to happen and how those fabrics are going to perform over time, so that we're not adding something to the collection that we aren't confident in for an extended period of time. We also do a lot of swatch testing, so we need to see how the fabric performs, its color fastness to light, the weight, the thickness, so we know how big we can build shades, and also how to clean it, because we know that there are different kind of circumstances that come up where you may need to clean your shade, and we have to make sure we can tell you how to do that. We also do sound testing. So as you know, Lutron has a very, very high standard for the sound of our shades, or I should say the lack of sound of our shades. And so fabrics play a really big part in that as well. There's 2 ways that we actually do this sound testing. The first one is in a sound chamber, where we lower the shade and actually record the sound of the shade movement and the fabric unrolling, and actually get the decibel level of the fabric itself. The other way that we sound test is to put humans in that same sound chamber with those same shades and lower the shades and ask the people, how annoying is this sound? Because just because the decibel level is high or low, that doesn't necessarily translate directly to how the human ear will perceive that. It may be that the decibels are low, but it's a really annoying sound. And so we have to take all of that into consideration as well. As you know, all Lutron products are end-of-line tested before they leave our facility, and shades and fabrics are no exception. So that's very important to us as well. And then we also have what we call our sustaining phase, where we watch those fabrics for about 9 months to a year after they're launched to make sure that everything is staying consistent with what we expected. So again, it takes about 9 months average to bring a new fabric on. Sometimes it can be less with something like Encore Blackout or E-Screen 0.5%, where we're really pushing and focusing on the launch qualification, having the shortest lead time as possible. But if we're bringing on maybe an entirely new supplier, it can actually take up to 2 years to fully qualify and vet that supplier. Who has noticed that LutronFabrics.com got a facelift? So just within the last few weeks, we launched a completely refreshed version of LutronFabrics.com. Now, you'll notice when you go to the site that it's much more modern and much more closely aligned to what you're seeing on the beautiful new Lutron.com. So the spirit and the feeling of all of those sites is much more consistent now. But on the next few slides, we'll go through just to show you that most of the functionality that you know and love from LutronFabrics.com is still here, I promise. So the first thing is you'll notice that search is not really called search anymore. It's called fabric filter because essentially that's what you're doing here. You still have that search box to be able to search by name or by SKU, but really what I use and what I think most people use is that fabric filter to be able to find specific materials that you're looking for. So just some new things on here. When you're looking at openness factor, you'll see now that you have solar screen, light filtering, and blackout, and room darkening's hanging out for some of those old honeycombs, but we can ignore that one for right now. And then you'll see under each of those that you have a little bit more of a specific in terms of those exact openness factors, just to really help you narrow down exactly what it is you're looking for. Looking then also at your environmental and physical attributes that you can filter by, you'll notice that there's some new and some reworded items here. We've now added a filter under environmental for antimicrobial. So that was a frequent request over the course of the past few years. And so now you can actually filter by all of the materials that have antimicrobial attributes. Another shift that you'll see there is for a while we had a filter called available in Massachusetts for fabrics that were antimony trioxide free. So Massachusetts is very particular about the chemical content of their fire rated fabrics. You'll see now that it says antimony trioxide free. That decision was very strategic, partially because we do think that other states will start to adopt those kinds of laws and regulations, and we want to be ready. And also, antimony trioxide doesn't necessarily sound as scary to everyone now as it did back in 2022 when those regulations started changing. So we wanted to make sure that that filter was a little bit more descriptive and also giving us some flexibility in the future. Under the physical attributes, you'll see that a lot of those are still the same. You have your noise reduction coefficient for acoustic fabrics, so you can use that to filter out there. And then you'll also see you have some new ones like the backing color filter to allow you to see which fabrics meet the backing color specification of a certain job. Also looking at the updates to LutronFabrics.com, here's our new tray sheer fabric. I put that one in there intentionally. We added a button here now where you can add all samples to cart for that particular fabric family. So now when you have a new fabric launch, instead of adding each sample individually, you can add all of those samples all at one time. It is important to note that the website does still have the 20 sample limit. So you can't go ahead and add all of the samples for eScreen where you have like 50 different samples. It really only works for materials that have less than that 20 limit, but that is a new feature that we were pretty excited to add to the site. Looking at the rest of the details page, you have, again, all of the same information that you've always been familiar with on LutronFabrics.com, available collections, the opacity, the openness factors, your fire ratings, and you do have that new link to be able to download the fabric details there. So you can go ahead and save that to an email or print that out if you need that information at your fingertips. So again, similar functionality to what existed on the site before. Another great resource that we're going to make available on LutronFabrics.com, it's not there yet. We'll send it out with the follow-up to this webinar, and it will be on LutronFabrics.com soon, is the updated version of our Fabric Quick Reference Guide. So if you're not familiar with the Quick Reference Guide, this highlights key applications and then recommended fabrics for those applications to achieve ideal performance. So it's going to be updated to include the new fabric families, so things like Loop and Omnia Screen Silver and eScreen 0.5% and Blackout Screen and Encore Blackout. All of those new materials are going to be on here. And we've also added 2 new applications. So applications that require a blackout fabric with a backing color other than white, and then spaces with a wellness focus, because we know that we've been hearing more and more about customers being concerned with sustainability or the chemical composition of the materials that are going into their home. So those are 2 new things on there as well. And then again, just a note, please let us know if there are other applications you'd like to see represented here. In case you didn't know, we're always listening, and we want to make sure that we are supporting you with the tools that you need, like Binder View and the quick reference guide, to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful. Just a reminder of some other fabric sales tools that exist out in the world. First, we have our curated selection binder. So I affectionately just refer to this as empty binder, as you can tell from the part number, which is empty-binder. And this is a binder that arrives empty, and it holds up to 50 individual fabric samples. So you can create your own custom selection on lutronfabrics.com, so that you can update that binder and really create a curation for yourself of all of your favorite fabrics, of top selling fabrics, of certain materials for a client that you want to have all in one place. And you have the flexibility to order those free samples to populate that book. If you don't need 50 samples, you also have the option of these black fabric folders. So it's a plain black folder with a beautiful Lutron logo, and these arrive empty in a pack of 10. And they hold up to 10 fabrics. And again, those complementary individual samples fit right into those folders as well. So you can create a smaller selection of materials too. All right, last but not least, let's look at what's coming next. So for the rest of 2025, which, as we all know, there's really not that much left, we're going to be able to start offering antimony trioxide-free versions of E-Screen, M-Screen, and T-Screen. I am assuming that the hands clapping that I'm seeing on the screen are all coming from Massachusetts, so thank you. And we're really excited to be able to bring those popular materials in the antimony trioxide-free versions into the world as well. So you'll start to see that by the end of this year. The messages will change in my projects and on lutronfabrics.com, and they'll become part of that antimony trioxide free filter. And then looking forward to 2026, I don't have too much that I can share just now, but one thing that I can share is that we're shifting to a way of doing consolidated launches. So over the course of the last few years, we really did have strategic gaps that needed to be filled and materials that needed to get into the portfolio as quickly as possible to support all of you, right? And so we were launching materials as soon as they were available, which can be a little bit tricky when it comes to things like fabric binder updates and making sure that you have your arms wrapped around the current offering. So moving forward, we're going to consolidate our launches. So we're looking right now, our next launch is going to be targeted for the spring, April of 2026. And then we're looking at 1 to 2 launches per year. So either a launch in the spring and in the fall, or just one in the spring or just in the fall. I'm not going to promise anything. I'm going to let that be up to myself and Shung and Catherine and the team. But you can definitely plan to see some new fabrics being launched in April of 2026. And we're going to start doing update kits again. So in the past, update kits have been a little bit challenging because they never end up shipping to the right place. So we're working through what the logistics look like for those, but we've definitely heard the feedback that having those consolidated update kits available is the easiest way to get your binders updated. So we're going to be moving to update kits again in 2026 and then moving forward from there. So that's all I have from a fabric standpoint today. Again, thank you so much for being here. If you dropped questions in the Q&A, we'll hang on at the end and we'll try to answer as many of those questions as possible. And like Shung said, whatever we're not able to answer, we'll send a follow-up out that has all of those details. So thanks again, and I'll pass it back over to Shung.
Thanks, Eva. Let's give Eva another round of applause. That was a hell of an update. Congratulations on the launch. I think there's definitely lots of love, sweat, and tear. Very exciting fabric addition to our fabric portfolio. So
thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. So I would like to take this opportunity to talk about our Native by Design Partner program. So when we look at our luxury home today, it's very clear that everything's become more and more interconnected. Lighting, climate control, audio security, shading, and a dozen other systems that all operating at once. So homeowners expect all of these systems to work together effortlessly. But the reality is that bring all of these best in-class components into one place can be sometimes complex. So every project includes materials, controls, different things from different manufacturers. So that is really the challenge we're addressing with Native by Design is we're really trying to align Lutron with a curated group of partners so that the solution, with you deliver eventually to the homeowner, whether it's natural woven shade, custom Roman, exterior lighting, everything all integrates seamlessly with Lutron control, with the Lutron control, movement, and reliability. So again, really aligns with these partners who share commitment to quality, craftsmanship, and performance. So we're working together really behind the scenes and trying to line up engineering, manufacturing, the services team, and really ensure that the solution delivered pairs beautifully with Lutron's intelligence, movement, and reliability. So for you, that means clear guidances, new opportunity with trusted brands, seamless integration leads to these flawless experiences, and really verified compatibility, consistent performance you can really count on across different materials and styles. And hopefully, we're just getting started. Eventually, we go to really simplify the procurement and the commission process, and ultimately give you the confidence to take on more design-driven projects. So here are the partners we have. We span everything from natural woven material, specialty shapes, exterior shading, custom romans, and moving arts. So each partner really brings their unique design capabilities to the table. And Lutron, we're trying to bring all of these partners with intelligence and control. We really elevate the end product. So for the next few slides, we'll just want to walk you through these partners because a lot of you guys will be thinking about, okay, so how do I get started with these partners? There's definitely lots of excitement. So we'll map out what each partner does and how to get started, what product and service is being offered with each partner. So let's start with Harman Forbes. This is the new one we added to the partners. We're really excited about what this partnership unlocks. So Harman Forbes, the design-driven luxury brand that handcrafts window coverings, wall covering with textile from sustainable natural fibers. They're based in Oregon, a suburb of Portland, and they have really maintained a family-owned and founder-led business since opening in 1998. So I know some of you will look at this and think, we've done Harman Forbes with Lutron before. What's different? So what's different is that the level of collaboration here. So we're now working very closely together at engineering, technical, and manufacturing levels, which really allow us to support product combinations that just simply weren't possible before. So if you're looking on the right, these are the products we started offering. So to start to notice, we introduced Triathlon Roman, and you can see Palladium roller and Palladium wire free. And also on the Savoya roller side, we added Roller 60 for wider compatibility. So these are some of the things only possible because we're working together behind the scenes. So some of you may know or may not know about this. So we add springs to Palladium rollers, Palladium wire-free rollers, and Roller 60 for wider, right? So these really require tight customization, tolerances, and calibration at the manufacturing steps. So again, this is only reliable when both companies working together. So like I mentioned, these are the products we'll be offering with Harman Forbes material. And I'll look on the left. So the finished product will be a Harman Forbes shade with what we call dealer supply Lutron shade kits. What does it mean? So the whole process starts with a consultation or get samples with Harman Forbes expert. So in the next page, we'll list out some of the contact information, the resources, but you started with reaching out to Harman Forbes, start a project consultation, and decide a product spec. I think this is the part that again, with tight integration, they know exactly based on your need what Lutron product you should be ordering. And they will provide an exact Lutron shade requirement to you. So you can go to my projects and order the Lutron gear, drop ship to their facility, and they will also preparing fabrication of their material. And eventually, Harman Forbes will weave the shade panel, assemble it together with Lutron component, and ship a finished shade to you. And also, just because we're working together, the warranty is, you can see the warranty here. We have Lutron gear is 5 years, and also the Harman Forbes shade assembly craftsmanship is 5 years. So again, here are the resources we'll be sharing after the webinar as well. We're working very closely with Chris, the automation specialist, on this. We also have, Harman Forbes also have a dedicated customer provided motor program brochure, lists out all the steps and all the questions answered. And they also have a dedicated Native by Design landing page, so you can go explore Harman Forbes story and their capability, and also how this partnership works. Okay. All right, so next up, Conrad. Conrad is another exceptional partner in this Native by Design program. I think for many of you, this one feels very natural because Conrad has been a partner with us. So again, Conrad, for those of you who don't know, is really famous for their hand-woven nitro fiber window covering. Every shade is crafted individually with incredible attention to detail. Designers love Conrad because they really bring a level of texture and artistry they just simply can't replicate with a machine-made fabric. So what Native by Design brings this partnership, again, is the alignment and the confidence we have. So again, you can see the products that's supported by this partnership here. We got Savoya Roman, again, Roller 64 wider will be available. Triathlon Roman, Palladium, and Palladium wire freight will be available as part of the partnership. As far as getting things ordered, you can see on the left, finished Conrad shade. So there are two paths you can go with. One path is you can directly order a completely finished Conrad shade directly from Conrad with Lutron shade kit built in. So they will basically build everything for you. So this is very helpful when you really need some of the help from Conrad just to get the project going fast. And they only work on right now selected Savoya kits. So the Savoya Roman kits, the Roller 100 and Roller 64, the one does not require spring assist. You can also go on to the dealer supply Lutron shade kit, which is the dropship path I mentioned previously, all of these products. So the process is, again, very similar. You start with Conrad inside team. You reach out to Conrad team to really understand the job and what the fabric, whether that will perfectly fit for this job and which Lutron product you should be specifying. And then again, a Conrad team will provide you with exactly things to order if you go on the dealer supplied route, and then you order the shade separately through Conrad and purchase the select kit to drop ship to Conrad, and they will make it the shade together and ship to you. Again, the warranty on the Lutron gear is 5 years, and on the shade assembly craftsmanship from Conrad is also 5 years. So here are some of the contacts and resources. We'll also have an additional document from Conrad laying out the exact process, and also here are the contact information from the inside sales team, and also Native by Design landing page. Okay. All right. So next up, Lutron with Dell Motorized. So I think Dell Motorized is really a partner, very important in the role, expanding what's possible with Lutron shading. Right. So I think they really understand what it takes to deliver exceptional results. And Dell Motorized specializes in these complex custom fabrications, specialty shaped windows. They also help with the intricate Roman build, some of the unique geometries. Just the application really precision matters more than usual. So through Native by Design, we're aligned with the Dell team on the specification tolerances, modification possible needed to make these solutions really possible. So the process will be you reach out to Dell Motorized customer service, really talk about the application, and then you order the shade from Lutron per Dell specification, drop ship to their facility and then for modification, and they will package everything up, ship to you. Again, the warranty is 5 years for both the Lutron gear and the Dell motorized shade assembly craftsmanship. Again, we have the contact information here. Again, we'll send out after the webinar. And on their website, it actually have a very detailed out process map, depends on what services you're getting from Dell Motorized. All right, so next up, Insul Roll is really excel at exterior shading system. So I think this really adds additional revenue stream because now you have more opportunity in outdoor living spaces, patio porches, large glass openings, sun-facing elevations where homeowner really wants some sun coverage from the outside. And because Insul system are built around a Lutron drive with the solution, you really get fully supported path from specification to installation. And it's very, again, a great seamless way to extend the Lutron experience to outdoors. And you can see you get finished Insul Roll exterior shade directly from Insul Roll. So they will put the shade together with the Lutron gear, the appropriate Lutron gear inside. I think at this point, the process, again, start with Insul Roll because they understand the application. They understand what it takes to specify these exterior conditions. And then this part is you do need to create an Insul Roll account with them to be able to purchase the product directly from them. And the Insul Roll team will provide the product's training, consultation, and the finished product purchased directly through Insul Roll. Again, the whole warranty on the finished shade with Lutron gear is 5 years. Again, I'll just flash out the resources right here. Again, check out their website about the Native by Design program. They also have a process brochure that kind of detail out the exact process on how to get started. So be sure to check that out. All right, so the next up, Shading Source. Shading Source is another a great partner focused on custom soft treatments, particularly on Roman shades and drapery. So it operates as a full-service workroom in Florida, which means they bring really deep expertise in the soft side of things and in the fabric handling, sewing, fabrication techniques, really essential for these high-end soft treatments, especially for those of you who do not have a local workroom connection. This is a great resource to get soft goods. So Native by Design, we're really aligned with Shading Source, work very closely with Jeff on how to bring the Lutron technology directly into the manufacturing process. So again, you can see the Roman shade assembly services as well as Roman shade fabrication services. And also in terms of the model, Shading Source will ship a Shading Source shade with dealer supplied Lutron shade kits. So very similar to other processes, start with Shading Source team. They know how to handle these applications, and they will specify which Lutron product you should be ordering. Again, you go to My Projects, select the right product, we'll drop ship to their location, and they will put it all together, and you got a finished shade directly from them. And the warranty is, again, is Lutron component 5 years, and the Shading Source shade assembly craftsmanship 5 years. They also have a great website, kind of detail out the process about them, about their capability. They also have detailed steps in terms of if you want any Lutron Roman assembly services, the measurement, the process needed to get everything started. Again, be sure to check this out. So last but not least, we got Leon. So Leon is very interesting because they're special because they bring something that's truly unique to a luxury home. It's a moving art screens that really conceals the TV behind custom artwork. The solution really are highly design driven and really they sit there and then just in an intersection of technology and an art. It's a very unique application. So through Native by Design, Leon's moving art, so the mechanism is aligned with Lutron intelligent shade drives that really give you the best of both worlds. So Leon's ability to create this beautiful personalized artwork panels but also combined with our, whisper, quiet, precision motion that really makes the review of the TV, right, from the arts really feel smooth and intentional. Again, this is really a great option for any spaces where designer want the technology just to disappear, right? Living rooms, primary suites, right? Anywhere the TV would disrupt the aesthetic, this is the location for it. And because motion is really powered by Lutron, you really get the reliable performance and the quiet intelligence. So again, the complete package is shipped from Leon, and reach out to Leon. I think this is their subdivision called Media Decor, right, for consultation, and again, order the product from Leon. And then the moving art screen assembly craftsmanship is 5 years. I'll flash up the resources here. This is their team, the email, the phone number, as well as their website, sort of detailing some of the selections of what's possible for their moving art screens. So to wrap up this section, really native by design it's really about bringing the best of the both worlds together, the artistry and the crafts of top design-driven brands, and also the precision, reliability, and intelligence of Lutron Control together. And we're just getting started. So moving forward, so you'll see us possibly new partners, right? So let us know. We've always been hearing what possible partners we could be bringing on to this program. And also we'll continue to update and refine the purchase path, to refine how to get things ordered, just so that the whole process getting more and more seamlessly. So, but one thing I think I want to make sure you guys don't make sure is because we are creating these very tight relationship with our partners, we're going to expand what's possible, right? Existing on the existing market. It's only going to get better from here. So now I'll hand it off to Catherine to talk about Shade Visualizer.
Okay. So hopefully all of you guys have already heard about this. Hopefully all of you have the Lutron iPad app, our luxury experience app. If not, please do take the time today to go on your iPad to the App Store, luxury experience app. It's got so many great tools, and today we're just going to talk about the visualizer primarily. So we just created this, and the thought behind it is that when you're having those preliminary conversations with a client, whether it's the design team or the homeowner, and you're discussing different installation methods, like, hey, are we gonna put this in a pocket? Are we gonna inside mount it with a fascia? Are we gonna outside mount it with a fascia? We know many of you rely on photos you have of past projects, but you don't have a ton of applications where you have pictures of the same window with different shades inside or different installation techniques. And so that's what this seeks to do. It's not a configurator. It doesn't show you every fabric option out there. It helps you explore conceptually what these different applications would look like. So we just launched this at CEDIA, brand new. And it's a lifelike simulation of a luxury residence. And you get to see what happens as you change different characteristics of the shade. So one of the first things you'll notice is you can actually toggle between different shade styles. So we have an exposed aesthetic versus a shade in a fascia, and you can put it recessed. So you really can show the impact of moving this shade around in the window. You can actually notice as you play with this, you'll notice the light changing, because it's not just taking into account the light coming in through here, through the shade, but it's also showing what's happening with the light coming from the recessed lights, coming from the lamp. And then of course at nighttime, there is no light coming in from outside, or when it's a blackout inside channels, you completely remove the natural light. So you actually get to see these changes. You can toggle between daytime and nighttime to take away the sunlight. You can move the shades up and down. Of course, like something with a light shade, when the shade's all the way down, you get more light reflecting off of it from that lamp. When you lift it up, less. So that also impacts your perception of what's happening here. And then move between the light shade and the dark shade. Now, we know it's a big struggle to talk to clients about privacy. When we go through a full shades class, I often joke like, do not buy a 1% screen shade in a bathroom. You're going to call us back. You're going to have to replace that. I'm sure many of you guys have learned that lesson. The client insisted it was fine, and no, it was not. So how do we preempt that? This outside in view allows you to give them an idea of the privacy they're going to get with a solar screen, with a translucent, with a blackout. You'll even notice you can put that blackout in or out of side channels and see, hey, when I don't have side channels, I get a little sneak peek through a little crack. So it's a fantastic tool. We look forward to hearing your feedback. It works on the iPad, or if you have a newer Mac, I've had some folks tell me it works on their newer Apple computer. That's pretty much all the knowledge I have about computers, so I'll stop there. But if you have a new one, check it out, see if you can download it. We realize it would be great to have this on more platforms, and so we'll see what we can do about that. But for now, it's a fantastic tool. Also, it's not limited to you. So we have had great luck showing it to specifiers, teaching an architect. If you have an architect or a designer that has their iPad out, let's get them to download it. How about if it's a homeowner? Let them play with this on their own time. So it will certainly give them a great insight into how changing the materials and the installation techniques will impact their experience. All right, now let's go through a couple shade updates. Go ahead, Shung.
Yeah, back to me again. So I saw not a lot of the update I will be providing are not new. So just to make sure this is mainly for your awareness. So start with triathlon roller design changes. I think a lot of you, if you've installed a triathlon shade in the past year, you've experienced it. Just want to make sure you understand why we did it, right? So we basically did a design change on the engagement. You see the little blue rectangle in there. Like we changed how the bracket is engaged top back cover, just to really make sure we want to prevent incorrect installations. So we want to make sure that really is a positive engagement. So again, like a new bracket design is not compatible with old top back cover design. So if you need to know is if you need to replace the shade that's been there for a while, make sure you take out the head rail, the mounting rail as well. Just order brand new shade, put everything in a brand new. So you cannot use the old mounting rail there. Unfortunately, I have to take that back. So that's one update on triathlon roller design changes. Again, want to make sure everyone's aware the palladium shade finishes. Moving on to palladium shades, we have the new aged bronze finish, replacing the opal white. So if you haven't done it, take out the opal white chip from your design kit and order the aged bronze individual design chip, which will provide the part number in the follow-up. And I think after launch, we've seen this quickly become one of those popular finishes within Palladium family. So moving on to Clear Story Shade. Again, this is available now. It's a single roller 300 shade with enhanced bracket. Really, it's designed for shade either that's between 20 to 30 feet tall, but also mounted high up. Again, the ceiling mount only, and use 7x7 pocket. Cable guide option is also available. Again, because we have to put battens and seams in between, the fabrics is really limited for this solution. We've seen lots of amazing applications for these clear story shades and those multi-story applications status. I think we'll have one of the dealers in Florida showing me the application they have in there is amazing. So be sure to know this is another option you have when pitching solutions to your clients. So moving on to drapery. So again, like Catherine mentioned before, we've really seen tremendous growth on the drapery segment. We've seen plus 40% year-over-year growth just in this category alone. So want to make sure you're again aware of the recent updates we made to this solution to really make a more versatile and suitable in more applications. So introduced in 2023, we added the pull to start functionality for DN105. black track color standard. We also launched a slew of extended overlap carriers in both pitch pleat and ripple fold application, and also for tandem shades. So make sure to check our latest spec submittal also in my projects on these updates. Introduced last year, we had a recess system for Lutron drapery, really trying to make the track disappear into the ceiling. And also, we've launched a slim EDU orientation, which I'll explain, show you later if you haven't noticed that in your installations. Again, quick update, new in 2025 on the recess system. You can see this is how everything goes together in the parts and pieces we ship. Now, the 8-foot track pocket extrusion, we hear feedback is just sometimes you have to order more for a longer track. And now we offer 3-packs, so we'll ship 3 of them in one box. It's really safe on shipping. So that will be available later this year. And also now, the 20-inch curve recess is available as a custom. So the only reason I said this is as a custom because everything needs to be dry fit on the floor before this thing goes up. Again, so we've also worked with our vendor to make sure they understand. We also actually ship them a jig that's 20-inch curved, and then they actually needs to fit before they ship us to that curved track for recess applications. So again, reach out to Shading Quotes, which we'll be able to quote you 20-inch curve application. We'll ship you the curved plastic pieces, the straight pieces, and the end pieces, but also help you guide you through the ordering process just to make sure everything fits, because that's what we ultimately want to. We don't want any rework. So if you have applications and that can use this, make sure to talk to our Shading Quotes team. So this is available now. And again, this is more for awareness, the slim orientation feature for Lutron drapery. So you can see on the picture on the bottom, you have now every track that's shipped from us now have this feature where you can mount your EDU, what we call the original orientation and the slim orientation without changing anything. So the track can just do either one of those locations really based on the needs. So we recommend for pinch pleat, you do the original orientation. And for the ripple fold, you can see the visual effect is really, the first pleat is is much smaller than the original orientation, right? Also matched with the rest of the ripple when the shade is in the open position. And as part of the update, we also removed the plug. Like, remember, like you put we have a little plug on the track where you remove a carrier for pinch pleat, but you really don't need this for ripple fold. So that plug is also removed. So the second to last pleat right next to the drive can be as close to the first pleat as possible. So that also, really boosts the aesthetic of a ripple fold shade, ripple fold track. So if you want to learn more, just lutron.com/slim drapery. There's should have all the answers to your questions. So again, this is mainly for awareness. Now, I think Catherine has less update on our services, and it will be closing up.
Great. All right. So a change you're going to see coming. If you guys have been Lutron dealers for quite some time, you probably recall way back when our customer service team was geographically divided up by territory. There was like a Northeast group and a Southeast group and all that. We had shifted to a pool model where all of your inquiries came in to one inbox. In an attempt to get to everyone faster. But what we found is that people were definitely missing that individual touch. So we are going back to a territory model. You will have your customer service persons, probably a couple for each territory here. I know you guys love to know the person on the other end of the phone. So stay tuned for that coming. We will, of course, as it all gets finalized, get you guys those new contact emails so that you know who to reach out to. That's not really customer service, but it's the right vibe. Okay, tech support video tool. I'm not sure how many of you guys have experienced this yet, but we have this new-ish FaceTime type tool where if you are on the phone with tech support and you are trying to describe what you are looking at, we know it is really hard to find words for that. So now you can actually share your screen, your camera view with the tech support agent. They'll send you a quick link, you hit accept, and then you can go ahead and they can take a look for you. So really great new tool. All right. We have made updates to our website. I know we've mentioned, you probably guys, I'm sure noticed at the start of the year, made all these changes, really jazzed it up. We want to make sure that you can get to the support page and find all those documents you were used to clicking many clicks, including letters of the alphabet to get there. So if you go to support.lutron.com/shades, you will see this page right here. You can filter by whether you want to see installation, program, troubleshooting. You can filter by products. So that second layer, you have to go ahead and click on what you want to see if you'd like to narrow it down. Pro tip, hit apply. If you don't hit apply, it doesn't filter for you. You might be confused about why nothing changed. And then you can see all the document types. So you may not be familiar with this, but you'll see components like brackets, pocket fascia. There's a section for corner installations in there. Installed shade profile, shades in a pocket, shades with fascia. So there's tons of documentation here you may never have explored. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Now, we also have a YouTube playlist, and we've been getting fast and loose, guys, putting stuff on the YouTube playlist. So sharing information more easily than ever for you guys. So check out our YouTube playlist. I think, Shung, are we going to send out this deck or just the link separately? We'll get you the link.
We're going to send this deck out in a PDF, but we can make the link copyable.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a little link down there in the little computer. So I realize you guys can't click on it. Okay, and then one last thing. I know I mentioned it, but the iPad app, a feature that we didn't talk about today because we were talking about the visualizer is this view through. So in order to explore openness factor and color, you can actually show a shade come down in white or black, in sheer, translucent, blackout, toggle between colors, see what the view looks like. And the coolest part, in my opinion, is actually that you can use your iPad camera to take a photo of your view and actually apply it on top of that real life view. So if you are in the client space and you take a photo and then model it for them real time on the app, such an awesome experience. It's a great thing to save, screenshot, and send to those clients to keep on hand as you go through the design process.
So I think that's all the scheduled programs we have. So again, what's next? So look out for our follow-up email next week because we'll share a lot of the information provided during this webinar. And again, make sure you update your fabric binder with the latest fabrics and divider cards. Go to lutronfabrics.com, log in, go into your part of the resource and download that PDF. And also, again, discuss native by design with the specifiers and talk about these new capabilities we just have. And then also download the Luxury Experience app if you have an iPad or a Mac that has, I think, M1 processor and above that can install iPad apps. That's the assignment for all of you. So we'll hang out just so you can enter all your questions. Thank you for all of these questions. I think we may have to send an update with all the questions, answers from this chat. But we'll hang out just so you can enter all your questions. And then I'll also flash up the survey up in the front if you can give us some feedback. Again, we're trying to, get our ears up, listen to your feedback so we can serve you better. Again, thanks so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Let's continue to be a trusted partner. If I don't see you, and have a happy holidays.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your participation.
Thanks, everyone.